So what we're going to do, we have several things that we do in class every time. One thing that we do, and you'll start doing this the next time we meet, is you will be giving an oral report to the class using one of the keyword outlines that you did for homework. But of course, we haven't done any homework yet, so there's no oral reports to be given. But you'll be practicing that at home all the 2 weeks in between classes by doing this with your editor. And it's a very, very important part of the writing process. And so when you come back to class next time, we will probably start with oral reports. Sometimes I start with poetry. It just depends. And then we'll actually do a keyword outline together in class. And we're going to do that here in this class in just a few minutes. The other thing we'll do is talk about poetry, and everybody will have a chance to recite the poem that they have been working on for the past 2 weeks. Sometimes people get more than one poem done because some of them in this first level of the poetry are very short. Now, there are a few that are actually pretty long, but you'll be saying your poem for the class. And then, back in the old days in school, like when I was in school, we had to memorize poetry and we had to say it, stand up and say it for the class. So at least you won't have to stand up. You can just sit down and say it. And then we will also read a story. And I have an extra camera on my Zoom setup. And so I can actually show the storybook while I'm reading it. And then we'll break the story down and talk about the different parts of literature. If you can understand the parts of a story and how to break a story down, we call that analyzing. Then when you get into a class where you have to actually write about books, it's no trouble at all. Once you have that key to understanding a story, it becomes very easy. So I think since Asher, would you mind saying your first poem for us since you went to the trouble to memorize it?
Sure. Okay. Ooey Gooey was a worm, mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey.
Great job. All right, Asher, I can tell you're a brave person, and that's an excellent work that you've done. And one thing when we, let's talk about how we go about memorizing. Is there anybody here that already has memorized a lot of poetry and you enjoy memorizing poetry? No? Okay. Well, when my children were in school, we homeschooled. And when they were in second grade, I found the most wonderful way to memorize any kind of language. And we started memorizing scripture, Bible verses. And we were able to memorize long passages and even chapters of the Bible. And eventually, I actually memorized the whole book of James with one of my kids. And this method of memorizing works better than anything I've ever found. So this is what we're going to be using to memorize our poetry, okay? So pick up your planning for, let's see, preparing the foundation, and look at page 16 with me. Okay?
16?
16. Now, what's the point of memorizing anything? One thing is so that we'll always have it. Like, that's a really good thing to do with Bible verses, because you'll always have it and it gets into your heart and into your mind. Another thing about memorizing really high quality language is that it starts to create these chemical pathways in your brain that improve your use of language. It improves your understanding about how to write well. It improves your memorization ability. For a while, memorizing sort of fell out of favor. People thought, oh, we shouldn't make people memorize things. They should just That's just not creative. Well, it isn't true that it's not creative. When you memorize something, it starts to activate brain cells that wouldn't normally be activated. And those brain cells can be used later. So I find myself sometimes when I'm writing, things that I have memorized, ways of saying things, just kind of pop out. Not exactly the same way, but I'll take what I'm trying to write about and I will use those patterns that I have already put into my brain to create something new. And so this is what memorizing poetry does for us. Memorizing poetry is fun. There are a lot of really fun poems, but there's a lot more to it than just recreation. So it will change your brain. It will make your brain better. It will make you smarter. It will make you a better reader, and it will make you a better writer. Okay? So this is why we do it at all. So let's look at page 16, and so you can see what I think about this. How to memorize poetry the easy way. So this works with any kind of written language that you want to memorize. You can use it to memorize the Declaration of Independence. You can use it to memorize famous speeches. You can use it to memorize Bible verses. And of course, you can memorize poetry doing this. So for the first week when you're working on a new poem, here's the steps I want you to follow. Did everybody check out that little flash drive that I gave you with the recorded poems on it? Okay, if you got a little round thing and inside it is a flash drive, okay? You need to put that into your computer and start listening to your poems. Who's done that already? Obviously you have, Asher.
I downloaded mine into my computer, so I don't need to put the whole thing in.
That is super. You can just put it on the computer and it'll play. Great job. Has anybody else done that? Okay. So you do need to be listening to your poems daily. I would say listen to at least 5 poems in a row, but then you want to listen to the poem that you're working on 3 to 5 times in a row. And all I want you to do is listen. I want you to listen to the way Andrew Pudewa says it. He's the guy that's actually recording the poems. I want you to listen to his expression in his voice. I want you to listen to the words and just kind of get a good sense of what the poem sounds like. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't want you to try to say the poem when you first start listening to it, because the brain is a funny thing. Your brain is such an amazing, I don't even know what to call it. I'll just call it an organ. It will quickly capture what you expose it to, okay? So if you say something wrong when you're memorizing the poetry, your brain is going to require a lot of repetitions of it correctly to erase the wrong kind. That makes sense? So when you first start listening to a poem, I want you to listen to it only. Don't try to say it along with the recording, okay? Then I want you to, while you're listening to the recording, read along silently with it, okay? Then I want you to read it out loud several times without the recording and try to say it just like Andrew Pudewa says it on the recording, okay? Because he has really, really good expression and phrasing, his pauses, where he goes on quickly without stopping. Sometimes when we say a poem, we kind of think we need to stop at the end of every line, but that's not always true with poetry. So listen to how he says it and try to imitate him. Don't say it from memory. It's important to say it correctly every time. Do not try to say the poem from memory yet, okay? For the second week, until it's memorized, daily, you need to listen to the recording of the poem 3 to 5 times in a row. Then read the poem aloud several times. And then here's the part that really makes a difference. Now, you might not have to do this long at all when you first start doing ooey gooey. How long do you think it took you to memorize ooey gooey, Asher?
About 2 days.
Okay. So after you've done this for a while, you need to give your editor your poetry book and let the editor read the poem to you, leaving off the ends of sentences and letting you fill in the missing word. And then later on, your editor can leave off several words at the ends of sentences and then some phrases. And then the next thing you know, you'll be saying the entire poem without any trouble. Okay? Now, this isn't going to be a lot of trouble with ooey gooey because ooey gooey is short. But let me show you a poem that isn't very short. And this will be super when you get to this part. I don't know that I have the same page numbers that you have. Let me see if I can. I think I have some copied pages. Okay. So the one I'm thinking about is After the Party. And I'm not sure which page yours is on. Mine is on, I have the teacher's book. Mine is on page 27. But my book is a little different from yours. It's poem number 5. Can y'all find poem number 5? The first person to find it, raise your hand. Okay, Asher, what page is After the Party on?
It's 11.
Page 11. Okay, I really need to get another copy of this book so I can know what pages poems are on. Okay. All right, so see how After the Party is quite longer than the rest of the poems up to that point. It's a great poem, too. It's one of my favorites. I never heard it until I got this poetry curriculum. I know a lot of these poems in the book already, but I didn't know this one. So when you get to After the Party, it's going to take a little bit longer, right? Now flip back to the first poem, Ooey Gooey, and we're going to practice doing what I just told you, okay? Is everybody on Ooey Gooey? Now don't look at the
flash drive.
No, just in your book. Just turn back to page
It's in the book.
Poem number 1. And I don't want you to look at it right now because I'm going to say the poem for you. I just want you to listen to me, okay? This would be like you listening to the recording. The recordings are better than me. Andrew Puda is so funny when he talks. Okay, so just listen. Don't look at the book right now. Okay? Ooey Gooey, author unknown. Ooey Gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey. Okay, there's the first time. Listen again. Ooey Gooey, author unknown. Ooey Gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey. Okay, here's the third time. Ooey Gooey, author unknown. Ooey Gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey. Okay, now I'm going to say it again, and I want you to read along in the book this time. Don't say it with me, all right? Ooey Gooey, author unknown. Ooey Gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey Gooey. All right. Now, I'm going to let each of you read it out loud. This is a little different than when you'll do it at home, listening to your recording. But I'm going to start with you, Asher, because you've done this before. And when we recite our poems, we'll recite the author as well. And of course, this time, author unknown means we don't know who wrote this. Okay? All right, go ahead, Asher. You read it
Okay.
for us.
Ooey Gooey was a worm, A mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey gooey.
Excellent. Now, y'all, when you are reading the poem, read the title of the poem and the author as well, and then start saying the poem, okay? Sebastian, can you go next?
I can't find it in the book.
What page is it?
7. It's page,
Page
7.
7? Okay,
Page
thank
7. Okay. I'll give you a minute, Asher. Hannah, you want to go next?
Ooey gooey was a worm, a mighty
Wait,
worm.
whoop, stop. I want you to say the title and the author and
Okay.
pace yourself, okay?
Okay. Ooey gooey, author unknown. Ooey gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey gooey.
Excellent. Okay. Lucas.
Is it working?
Mhm.
Ooey gooey, author unknown. Ooey gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey gooey.
Excellent. Okay. Sydney.
Ooey gooey, author unknown. Ooey gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey gooey.
Good job. Okay, Aiden, your turn.
Ooey gooey, author unknown. Ooey gooey was a worm, a mighty worm was he. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. Ooey gooey.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do, this is a little sooner than we would normally do it, but this is a good poem to do it with because it's short. So don't look at your book. I'm going to say a line and then you're going to fill in the missing words. Just speak it out. Okay. Ooey gooey, author
Unknown.
unknown. Yes. Ooey gooey was a
Worm.
Mighty worm.
a mighty worm was
He.
he stepped upon the railroad,
Tracks.
the train he did not
See.
ooey.
Gooey.
Ta-da! Excellent. See how quick you learned that? Now, those of you that haven't, Asher already has it memorized. Those of you that haven't already memorized it, you'll need to do that for, 2 or 3 days. Once you have finished a new poem and you're ready to start on another one, don't let the old poem go. Okay? You need to keep working on them because it takes a while for those things to get burned into your brain. Okay? Did you notice a funny way that this poem was written? It's the 4th line. He stepped upon the railroad tracks, the train he did not see. That's a little different than we normally talk, isn't it? How would we normally say that? Instead of saying the train he did not see, we would normally just say,
He did not see the train.
Didn't.
exactly. So one thing about poetry is poets use different sentence
Ways of
structures. Huh?
Ways of speaking. Different ways of speaking.
Yes. They try to have varied sentence structures. They try to use unusual words that really capture what they're trying to get across to you. And so,
And sometimes they like Yoda. And sometimes they
Yeah.
speak like
Yeah.
Yoda.
like Yoda, exactly. Yoda's sentences always sound backwards, don't they?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll notice that in some of these poems, the sentences kind of sometimes seem backwards. That's one thing poets actually do. Okay. So I think before you all come back, you can easily finish ooey gooey and start working on celery. Okay. Celery by Ogden Nash. Celery raw develops the jaw, but celery stewed is more quietly chewed. And I do want you listening to the recordings because Andrew Pudewa has excellent expression and excellent timing, and I want you to get that in your head, okay? We don't want to just rush through saying the poem. We want to say it with expression. Now, Andrew Pudewa actually was in Japan, and one way he worked on learning Japanese when he was a young man was to get a book of, it was a Japanese version of Jack and the Beanstalk. And he had learned a lot of Japanese, but he finally got to a point where he just couldn't make any more progress. So he memorized how to read this Jack and the Beanstalk book. He got his teacher to record it for him, and he learned to say the story of Jack and the Beanstalk in Japanese with great expression, and he became very popular at parties. The children wanted to see this tall, gawky American speaking Japanese and telling them a story. And once he did that, guess what happened to his Japanese? His Japanese just took a giant leap forward.
Skyrocketed.
Yes, from memorizing a children's story. Okay? And so this is what memorizing poetry will do as well. And so one thing you can do is you can learn these poems and you can actually entertain people with them. If you say them well and you say them with expression, like After the Party is a hilarious poem. And you can entertain children that are younger than you. They will love to hear your poems. I've actually had students teach the poems to younger children. Oh, you can do this with Ruthie, Hannah.
I can.
Yeah. And also, older people like to hear children recite poems as well. Okay? So you can share these poems with people, and it's really so much fun to do that. Okay? So that's one thing we're going to be working on this year. Now, does anybody have any questions right now about the poetry memorization? You have a question, Sebastian?
No.
Oh, okay. I am serious about doing it just like I say, and I do want you to listen to the poems every day so you can learn how to say them beautifully. Okay? Poetry is not really much enjoyment to listen to if people don't say them well with expression. Okay? But if you do say them well with expression, it is very enjoyable to listen to. All right? Okay, so poetry is one thing we're going to do. Another thing we're going to be working on this year is called keyword outlining. Who has done keyword outlining before in an IEW class?
Is this the thing that has the poetry in it?
Yes. And I like Asher's idea. Instead of just having to put that on there every time, put it in the computer every time, he just downloaded it to his computer. And if you don't know how to download things to the computer, that's okay, because your parents probably know how to download to the computer. You can set up a file on the computer, and that way you don't have to go looking for it, you know, putting in your flash drive every time. Okay?
Okay.
But however you listen to it, I want you to be sure to listen to it every day. We did Suzuki piano for years. And one thing about Suzuki is that when you first start a new piano book, you get a CD with all of the music on it. And before you even start playing the pieces that are in the book, you've already listened to them for at least a week. Because in Suzuki, learning to phrase and learning to imitate the sound is extremely important part of the learning process. Okay. Has anybody in here done Suzuki before? No? Okay. So this is actually not just my crazy idea. Suzuki string, Suzuki piano, Suzuki flute, Suzuki harp, and I think there might be Suzuki guitar as well. All involves listening to recorded pieces that the students are going to be working on. And it really speeds up the learning process. Okay. If you don't listen to the poems, then your pronunciation may not be correct. Your phrasing won't be as good. You won't use as much expression. So try to imitate Andrew with his expression when you're listening to the poems and when you're saying the poems after you listen to them, okay? It will be much better than if you, we lost somebody. Who do we lose? Oh, we lost Hannah.
Yeah.
There
She's back. She just doesn't have her camera on.
Okay. I think, okay. She'll
Okay, there
pop.
we go.
Oh, we lost you there for a minute, Hannah.
You disconnected.
Hmm.
You disconnected, Hannah.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I can see her, but she's frozen. So hopefully she'll be able to be back in a second. Okay, the next thing we're going to work on, which is another part of this class, very important part, because this is,
It keeps saying that the internet is saying.
yeah, I'm not having any trouble with mine on this end, so it might be your internet. Can you see me and the rest of the class? I think she's got her connection must not be good. Okay, so this is really important in IEW writing, which is keyword outlining, and this is on page 14 in your handbook, okay? So everybody turn to page 14. All right, so when we write, sometimes it's a problem to get away from the original source so that we can write things in our own words. Has anybody ever found that to happen when you're trying to write something and you have to use books that you're supposed to get information from? Have you found that it might be hard to say things in your own way with a book right there in front of you? Who's experienced that before? Okay. All right. Well, the great thing about keyword outlining is it keeps that from happening. Keyword outlining is a note-taking method that allows you to briefly notate information that you need for writing so that you can put the source away and write things in your own words. So if you were to tell your mom, she would say, maybe ask you, what did Mrs. Kimbrell say in class today? Would you tell her every single thing that I said in exactly the same words that I said them? What would you do?
Tell her what we talked about?
Yeah. Would you use all my same words?
No.
What kind of words would you use?
I don't really know.
You would say it like you say things, right?
Oh, but yeah.
Which is different than the way I say things. So when we want to repeat something somebody said, we never just use their own same words. The normal thing is to just say it in your own way, right?
Yeah.
And so that's also the normal thing when you write something. The problem is getting away from what's on the page so you can say it in your own way, right? So keyword outlining is one of the things that it's a thing that helps us do this. So look at page 14 with me. I'm going to describe keyword outlining to you, and then we're going to do keyword outlining because it makes more sense when you actually do it, okay? So keyword outlining, the process that we go through when we want to keyword outline a paragraph, we're going to be doing this all year. You're going to get very good at it, okay? The first thing you do is you read the paragraph completely through before you outline it. The paragraph topic is going to be Roman numeral 1 on your outline. You need to leave a space between each line, and you'll see mine is pretty widely spaced, but you'll be writing these at home in a composition notebook on notebook paper. So when you write a line of writing, the next line needs to be blank. Does that make sense? Okay. For each sentence in the paragraph, you're going to pick out 3 words that are the most important and convey the most information about that fact. You can use abbreviations, symbols, and numbers in place of words. They're free. They don't count as one of your 3 words, okay? And you should put things down that you're going to be able to find later and recognize when you go back to do your oral reports, which you're going to actually do every day for homework. If you look on page 22, hold your finger on page 14 and look on page 22. These are just a few symbols and abbreviations that are really useful when we do keyword outlining. Okay. So we'll be getting very familiar with a lot of these. Plus, there's all kinds of other things you can do. So for each fact, you're going to list your 3 words and any numbers, symbols, and abbreviations. But you don't want to reproduce an entire sentence, because if you did manage to get down exactly everything that was in the sentence on your keyword outline, when you went back to say your oral report, what's it going to sound like? It'll sound just like the thing you got it out of, right? And if you were to write it, it would sound just like the same thing you got it out of. That's not what we want to do when we write. We want to use our own words, okay? And you can also use synonyms. Synonym. Who knows what that is? Some of you know. Okay, a synonym is a word that is different from the other word that you started with, but it means pretty much the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we might have a word in a sentence that is creature, and a synonym for creature could be
Animal.
animal.
Monster.
And there's all kinds of synonyms for creature, right? So here's some ideas, though, that I want you to understand. First of all, we don't need to use the topic word in the keyword outline, because a topic is what the whole paragraph is about. So there's no need to use that again in the keyword outline, okay? We don't need little words, article adjectives like a, an, or the. Those are not helpful on a keyword outline. They wouldn't help you at all trying to remember a fact. Conjunctions, and, or, but, we don't normally need those in a keyword outline. Most prepositions are not needed. And we'll talk about prepositions as we go. And most pronouns, I, you, he, she, it, they, we, normally we don't really need those on a keyword outline. So little words, the word that's the topic of the paragraph, those aren't very helpful on keyword outline. So we're not going to waste our words on those, okay? So here's the 3 rules. No more than 3 words per outline point. Numbers, symbols, and abbreviations are free. Don't try to reproduce an entire sentence, and avoid unnecessary words, okay? All right, look at the top of page 15. This is an example of a keyword outline. And this may seem kind of abstract right now, but in a minute we're going to do one, and you'll see what I mean, okay? So here's a short little Bible passage, the do not worry passage. And let's just read through this together. If you wanted to tell somebody what this Bible passage said, first of all, you read through it. That is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food and drink or enough clothes to wear. Isn't life more than food and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. And aren't you far more valuable to him than they are? Can all of your worries add a single moment to your life? Okay, so I happen to know the topic of this paragraph. It's do not what?
Worry.
Do not worry, okay? So that Roman numeral 1 next to it, it says do not worry. All right, let's look at the first sentence. This is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food and drink or enough clothes to wear. Well, look at my number 1 point on this outline. A not symbol is very useful in keyword outlining. Do not worry. About what? About not having enough stuff, right? Whatever it is. Let's look at the next sentence. Isn't life more important than food and your body more than clothing? Look at number 2 on my outline. Life is, okay, you math people, what's that next little symbol mean on number 2? Math symbols are very useful. Oops, my computer is running down. Hold on a second. I forgot to plug in my own computer after I told everybody to plug theirs in. What is that math symbol there? Does anybody recognize that? Nobody recognizes the math symbol? Greater than, does that ring a bell? Okay. Life is greater than, I put a plate and fork and knife there. Life is greater than food, drink, and clothes, okay? Look at the next sentence up there. Look at the birds. Well, that's a pretty easy one, isn't it? Look, birds. Are y'all with me on page 15? Okay. They don't plant or harvest or store foods in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. And I said not farm, right? Father feeds. And aren't you far more valuable to him than they are? So number 5, you are greater value to him. Can all your worries add a single moment to your life? So question mark, worries add life, question mark. Okay, so that's just a very simple keyword outline. And now we're going to actually practice the keyword outline. So I want everybody to turn to page 46 in your handbook. And I'm going to do a screen share because I'm going to be writing this with you, okay? We're all going to write this down. Now, Asher, I know that you have a broken wrist and you can't write it, but I'm going to put this on ThinkWave assignment number 1 so you can have a copy of it, okay? And you can still participate even though you're not able to write, so that's not any problem.
What page?
Page 46. Okay, I'm waiting for this to work here. All right, hold on a second. Can you all see my paragraph and outline there?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on a minute, I'm setting this pin. All right. Now, the problem with doing a screen share, I love Zoom, I think it's great. But one of the problems with it is that when I do a screen share, I can't see everybody that's in the classroom, okay? So if you raise your hand, I might not see you. So I just want, as we go through this, I want everybody to just speak up, okay? And so even if I don't see you, I'll be able to hear what you're saying. Okay. So the first thing,
Is
What?
there supposed to be a highlight somewhere? Because I don't see any highlight.
a highlight.
Yeah.
I have a paper on, I have a paragraph with lines underneath it. It's beluga whales. Do you see that?
I see it, but it doesn't have any underline under it.
You don't see a Roman numeral 1 with a line beside it?
No.
Does everybody else see a Roman numeral 1 with a line next to it and all the numbers have lines next to them?
Yeah.
Okay, it should look like what you see on page 46. Is that not how yours looks, Hannah?
This
Okay,
is so
there's a line now.
Hmm. Is anybody else having that problem? No? Okay. Well, I don't know. You're going to be writing in your book and you'll be able to hopefully see what I'm writing, Hannah. So you let me know in just a minute, okay? All right. So I'm going to read through the paragraph and then we're going to start keyword outlining, okay? Oh, has anybody ever been to the aquarium in Atlanta? I think they have a beluga whale in the aquarium in Atlanta. Oh, you have?
yeah, I went there before.
Oh, okay.
I went when I was really young, so I don't remember it as well as I would have gone.
Right. Okay.
I
Well,
don't remember going there.
I've never been, but I would like to go see the beluga whale. I
It looks
also
so funny.
I like the little song about baby beluga. I don't know if any of y'all know that, but okay.
Shark.
All right. So beluga whales. Beluga whales live all around the North Pole. Adults are almost white in color. They usually weigh 1 to 1.5 tons. This is small for a whale. The beluga whale has a flexible neck. Other whales do not. The beluga can turn its head to scan for food. They eat seaworms, crustaceans, and mollusks. They also like fish and squid. Belugas are among the most vocal of whales. They click and squeak, they trill and twitter, they even moo. Their sounds can be heard both above and under water. Okay, so let's get started on this. So the first thing we want to do is figure out what the topic of this paragraph is. What is this paragraph about? That's what we mean when we say the topic. What's the topic of this paragraph?
Whales.
What particular kind of whales?
Beluga whales.
Beluga whales. So we're gonna, well, there we go. Beluga. And y'all write this in your book on page 46, okay? Beluga whales. Your brain learns better when you actually handwrite something. That's an unusual thing about the brain. There have been studies done in the recent past where they have shown that learning is retained longer when people handwrite things. So if you're able to handwrite, and I don't necessarily mean cursive, you can print. Printing is just as fine as can be, okay? Some people do have issues with writing, like right now, Asher has an issue with writing because he's got a broken wrist, okay? I had a student last year who had dysgraphia, and so his mother wrote down his, he would tell her what he wanted on the keyword outline and she would write it for him. But if you're able to write, that is what's going to help your brain the most, okay? All right, so let's read the first paragraph, the first sentence. Beluga whales live all around the North Pole. Now, remember I said we don't need to use the word that the topic is. What's the topic of this paragraph?
Beluga whales.
Right. So let's just cross that out. We're not going to use that in our keyword outline. We already know this whole thing is about beluga whales, right? Okay.
We could use the word they and substitute for beluga whales.
Well, we could, but do we really need it to remember what this fact is? Let's get rid of as many little words as we can, and then we'll figure that out, okay? What is another little word that we probably are not going to need here?
The.
Cross that out. Okay, now there is an actual abbreviation for north. If you've done geography, you might know what this is. Does anybody know what it is?
North is like on the top of Earth, like.
Uh-huh.
Most
And
of
we
the
can
time.
we can abbreviate directions as N, S, E, and W, north, south, east, and west. Okay, there is Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. I was hoping everything was okay. We're working on keyword outlining right now, and we're on page 46. Can you flip over to page 46? So we're doing our very first keyword outline together as a class. Okay. Now we can only use 3 words. So, what do you think that we absolutely must have in this point?
So you're writing about the whales?
We're writing a keyword outline here. So obviously North Pole is important. What's another really important word that we need to make sure we use here so we can remember it? Live. Yes. Live. Okay. Now we know we can use pole. We can use in pole. So let's pick one more word that we're going to keep. Would it make sense to say live all North Pole? Or would it be better to say live around North Pole?
Live around North Pole.
Yeah, I think so too. So let's put that down. Live around North Pole. Okay, y'all write that down. Okay. That way we've used 1, 2, 3 words and 1 abbreviation. That's great. Okay, now we don't really need to use beluga whales at all. So whenever we come to that in the paragraph, we know we can just cross that out, okay? All right, adults are almost white in color. Now, some small words that we know we don't need.
In.
In, yes. Well, okay, there we go. What else?
Are.
Okay. Now we are talking about a particular kind of beluga whale in this sentence. And what is this particular kind of beluga whale?
Adult.
Adults, exactly. So I think that's an important word in this one. Okay. Let's see. What happened here? I don't know. I'm going to get rid of this floating meeting control here. Okay. I don't know why that popped up there. Okay. Adults. All right. Now here's a neat symbol that you can use in a lot of different ways. This is called a tilde, and it means about or almost or approximately. So what do you think I'm going to put after this?
White in color.
Almost white. Okay, and I don't think we're even really, well, sorry, what a mess. I don't think we really actually need to use in color. But you could put color if you wanted to, because we've used one word. Almost white color. How about that? Will that do? All right. They usually weigh 1 to 1.5 tons. Okay, so what I see a chance to use some number symbols here. What would that be for?
Pounds, the thing for pounds, which I believe is IB.
Well, actually, they're tons, and I don't know an abbreviation for tons, but we can put 1 to. I've never had this happen before, and I don't know why it's happening now. these little 1.5.
Look at my shoe.
Okay, so we can do that there, and we don't need to use those words. This is the worst time I've ever had with this pen. I don't know why this is happening. Let me scratch that out. 1 to 1.5. We don't need all that, do we? Okay. Now, do we need they? Will it help us to remember the fact to have that word they there? We already know we're talking about beluga whales, right? So let's get rid of they. Usually weigh 1 to 1.5 tons. Look, we've only got 3 words left, so let's just go ahead and do this. Usually, well, sorry, my spelling isn't very good here. And, well, things happen with technology, but I've never had this happen before. Usually weigh 1.
Oh my.
Oh my what?
It just got very scribbly all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't understand why this is happening. I've never actually had this happen before. My pen keeps going off and it keeps making symbols for me. 1 to 1.5 tons.
Is that a 2?
Maybe you're accidentally copy and paste.
Yeah, 1 to 1.5. Yes, that's a 2.
Okay.
Okay. And that's supposed to be tons there. Let me rewrite it so you can see it a little better. Tons. Well, this is a new thing for me, y'all. I've been using this thing for a long time and I've never had this happen.
Maybe it's like lagging because of the screen sharing or something.
No, I've never had it happen. I do this every year, so I used it yesterday, as a matter of fact, in a class.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, yeah, it is weird and it's aggravating. Okay, this is small for a whale. Okay. Why don't we just put small whale? How about that? Small whale. Well, yeah, it's a problem here. Small whale.
Why is it going like that?
I don't know. If I knew that, I would stop it. Okay, has everybody got small whale down?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here's a new sentence. The beluga whale has a flexible neck. Now, what do we definitely not need in this outline point?
whale.
Beluga whale. Cross it out. Okay. Some other small words that we really don't need.
The.
Yeah.
What about, there's a couple of other small words we don't need.
A.
Yes, and also has, right? We
So,
know we're talking about beluga whales, right? So all we need here is flexible neck spelled correctly. Okay. All right. Yeah, don't keep asking me because I don't know. Okay, flexible. All right, flexible. We can even abbreviate it. Yeah. All right, I'm going to try this again, y'all.
Flexible?
Flexible.
Flexible, okay.
Flexible. Wow, this thing is really acting up. Yesterday didn't give me any trouble at all. Flexible neck. Yeah, no kidding. All right.
Maybe
Like-
you have like an auto correct on that's like bugging out.
I don't know. I really don't know why it's doing this.
I think with this stuff you can type, right?
Not
Yeah,
on,
can you?
well, I could try it, but then I won't be able to draw little symbols, right?
Oh wait, yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right. Let's try it again. Flexible. That should say flexible neck, y'all. You can see how to spell it up there, okay? Other whales do not. Now remember, there's a great symbol that we can use for not. Do y'all know what that is? Other,
Like a circle with like a
yes,
line.
it's a circle with a line through it. Other whales. Well, this is very unhappy. Let me make it smaller. Maybe it'll do better. I don't know.
Could you try a smaller pen tip?
I don't have a smaller pen tip.
Hmm.
So that's not going to help.
Maybe try another setting like highlighter or something.
Then I won't be able to write letters. Other whales.
Oh,
Okay, I'm going to close this out and then I'm going to come back in and see if that'll help. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
makes sense. That could work.
All right. Let me try this again. Other whales. Not. Oh, well, that seems to have worked that time. Sorry, y'all. This says other. Okay, can you read that? Okay. Let me make it a little bigger then because this, oh, you know what? I'll bet this is Grammarly causing this problem. Quit
Oh, it's
Grammarly.
actually, yeah, you should maybe try clicking.
Did you see that? Did you see the Grammarly thing there? I wonder if Grammarly is the one that's what the problem is here. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
maybe it's trying to like auto correct it.
It may be. Excellent. Okay. So I'm putting this back on again. Let's try this again. Okay.
We could change the do and not into a do not.
Okay. Well, you could put do not if you wanted to. Let's
Or
try this.
don't.
Let me erase this so we can. One thing you want to do when you're doing keyword outlining is be as brief as possible. Oh, look, y'all.
There we go.
It was the auto correct.
What's Grammarly? Oh, okay. All right. Well, at least we figured that
course
out.
it's
If that
me.
happens again in another class, y'all need to remind me about that, okay? All right. The beluga can turn its head to scan for food. All right. Now, what do we know we don't need there?
The beluga?
The beluga. Exactly. Okay.
The beluga.
All right. What other little words do we not need?
Two.
Two. What about its? And what about for? Actually, we can use a symbol for for. Do you know what I'm about to say?
Number 4.
Yes.
Number 4.
Okay.
Number 4.
Okay. So what about turn? Oh, turn head. Okay, now here's one of my favorite symbols. What about that? Turn head. The eyes mean what, do you think?
Look.
Yeah, look.
Yeah. Look, scan, search, anything like that is fine. Okay. They eat sea worms, crustaceans, and mollusks. I like that word, mollusks. Now, since sea worms is kind of like one thing, I will allow that, as even though this is really going to actually be 4 words. Crustaceans and mollusks. All right, I think we're going to know that that's their food, right? Sometimes I do this. Sometimes I'll draw an arrow from another point just to know that this is what I'm talking about. So this is their food: sea worms, crustaceans, and mollusks. Okay. They also like fish and squid. So what can I put here? Got any ideas? This is a pretty easy one. Just 2 words.
Fish and squid.
Fish and squid, exactly. Fish and squid. All right, do we really have to put that they like them?
Eh,
No, we really don't, okay? In fact, we could just circle that and draw an arrow here and draw another arrow here so we know that this is their food, okay? You can use all kinds of little strategies for that. Belugas are among the most vocal of whales. All right, what can we get rid of? And this, belugas, yes. What else?
The.
Some other small words.
Are.
Some other small words.
Of.
Okay, so here's what we can do here. Wait a minute. I'm getting kind of low on the page. So I think that causes a problem too. Okay, let me scratch that out. 1, and here's an abbreviation for the word of. Have y'all ever seen that before? Okay, so you know when you say 1 o'clock, remember when you write o'clock, it's like an O with an apostrophe after it, and then clock.
oh yeah. I've
What
seen
the
that.
original way of saying that was 1 of the clock. So a little O like this with an apostrophe after it is a good good symbol for of. Okay, 1 of. What are they 1 of? Here's the sentence.
The most vocal of the kinds.
Yeah, most. Well, here we go again. Most vocal, 1 of most vocal whales. And we'll use whales here because there are other whales that are being discussed in this sentence, right?
Yeah.
1 of most vocal whales. Okay, they click and squeak. So what can we use here? We only need 2 words here, really.
Click and squeak.
Click and squeak, right. Click and squeak. They trill and twitter. What do we need here?
Trill and twitter.
Right. Trill and twitter. Well, I'm going to move it up again. Trill and Twitter. They even moo. What can we put here?
Even moo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we can use even here since we only. I'm going to put an exclamation point because I think that's kind of funny. And I'm going to put a happy face. It's kind of funny to think of a whale mooing, don't you think?
Yeah.
Their sounds can be heard both above and under water. All right. Who knows the chemical symbol for water?
H2O.
Yeah. So you could use that. Or you could do,
You could do arrows up and below water. Arrows up and then also
oh,
an arrow
yeah.
down.
Okay. So do you think we need that word heard? I think they might be important. It might be important. What do you think?
Yeah.
Heard. Okay, I like that idea. Arrows are super useful in keyword outlining. Heard above and below. And you could either do H2O or you could do whatever means the most to you. Depends on what you like. There's no one right way to do a keyword outline. What you want to put down are things that are gonna remind you of what the point is. So if you like H2O the best, you can put down H2O. If you like water, a little symbol of waves, if you like the waves the best, you can put down waves. Okay. Now I have some messy writing here from when I was having trouble. Let me get rid of some of this stuff because it makes it very confusing. And let's see. Let me fix this so y'all can see what it is. Okay. Wow, glad we figured that out. That was super annoying. Okay, small whale. Okay, I think number 5 was flexible necks.
Yeah.
Flexible neck. Okay, those are eyes. All right. Okay, is the rest of it pretty legible? Can y'all read the rest of it?
What's
Yeah.
that colored in black triangle?
Which number is it on?
10.
10.
Number 10. Oh, that was just a mistake. Is that what you were talking about, Hannah? Okay. All right. So now that we've got our keyword outline finished, the next thing we're going to do, and you're going to be doing this at home with your editor, is you are going to give an oral report by using only your keyword outline without looking at the original. So we're going to just practice doing that here because this is really the harder part of writing. You get your notes taken down and then you think about how you want to say the information that you've just noted, okay? If you can do that, then just writing down a paragraph isn't really that big of a deal. This is the pre-writing stage. This is where you do the hard thinking work, okay? So there's enough points here on the outline that I think we can everybody will be able to do at least one, and then we'll also have a chance to do some others. So, okay, so I will start out with and show y'all what I mean, okay? Beluga whales make their homes around the North Pole. Did mine sound different than the original?
Yeah.
Is that okay? It is okay. Different
Yeah.
is good. When we write, we'd like to use our own words. And I like the idea of beluga whales making their home around the North Pole. Okay, that's why I said it that way. Now, I don't know if y'all remember what this is because it's been a while since we wrote this down. But who remembers what that symbol there means?
Usually.
Yeah, usually, about, most, I mean, yeah. Okay, so who can do number 2 for us?
Let's see.
Let's see. Aiden, could you do number 2 for us?
The adult whales mostly are white.
Great. That is very good. Okay, number 3.
Grown-ups mostly are white.
Okay. Who can do number 3 for us? And everybody's a little bit shy right now, but that'll be over with soon. But in the meanwhile, I'm just going to call on people if nobody speaks up, okay?
I can do it.
Oh, who said that?
Me.
Okay, I'm just looking. Okay, whoever that was, go ahead and say it.
Wait, I forgot it.
It's okay. It's all right. Take your time. You don't have, this is the thinking part of writing, okay? This is where you're thinking about what you want to say. So you don't have to be fast. So just look at number 3. Was that Lucas that has volunteered here?
Yes.
Okay.
They usually weigh 1 to 1.5 tons.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Who can do number 4?
I can.
Okay, great. Sebastian, thank you.
Tiny whale.
Okay, now say a whole sentence. Like if you were to walk up to somebody and say tiny whale, they might not know what you meant. So what would you say if you were to walk up and tell somebody this fact?
I guess.
You could use they, or you could use belugas, or
Belugas are tiny whales.
super. Okay, that's okay. That is great. All
Can I
right.
do 5?
Pardon me?
Can I do 5?
Sure.
Okay, the belugas whales can let's see,
Can you read my writing?
yeah, I'm just thinking of what.
That's okay. You can think. There's no rush when you're making an oral report. Think about what you want to say.
No. Stop snatching.
Beluga whales have flexible necks.
Super. That's just right. Okay, number 6. Who can do number 6 for us? All right, Hannah.
Other whales do not.
Great.
Flexible necks.
Okay. Number 7. The eyes have it. Okay, let's see. Has anybody not done one yet? Let's see, who hasn't done one yet? Sydney and Rebecca, Emma. Wow, can one of y'all do number 7?
I can do number 7.
Okay.
The whales turn their heads to look for food.
Exactly. Super. Okay, let's see. Emma, could you do number 8?
Sure. This beluga whales. Wait, 7?
Number 8.
Oh. The beluga whales usually eat food like sea worms and lots of other seafood.
Good. That's great. And y'all, I don't know if you know this word or not. It's crustacean.
Crustaceans.
Kind of a weird word. And that's things like, oh my goodness, that's things like shrimp and lobsters, all the good stuff. It's all crustaceans.
I love shrimp.
We were just in Maine last week and we actually got to have lobster. So good. So I can't blame the beluga whales for wanting to eat them. Okay. Let's see. Number 9. Now, I think has everybody had a turn so far? Okay. So the rest of them are just up for grabs. Who can do number 9 for us? You know, I just realized it's 11:30 because we kind of moved a little slowly today through class. So we're going to not finish this right now. I will put this up online so you can see the rest of it. You'll have a copy of it. Of course, it's in your book, except for Asher because he can't write right now. What I want to do really quickly is just go over what your homework is. So if you'll look on page 111. Oh, great job, everybody, with getting your writing plan put up on the ThinkWave website. Everybody did it, and they did it right, and that's great.
What was it?
This is page 110. It's where your assignment is.
This one?
Oh, in this book. Let's see. Let me do the stop share thing here so I can see everybody, okay? Okay. So we had a story we were going to do today, but we'll just have to save that. I'm sure next time we'll move more quickly. It's always a little slow the first day, okay? So on page 110, this is your writing assignment for the week. It's not just writing, it's reading and poetry memorization as well, okay? Every day is a day for your homework. Day 1 starts the day after class. So day 1 is going to be what day for you in this class?
Friday.
Right. And I don't assign homework over the weekend. So you won't have day 2 until what day?
Monday.
Yes. And you will be doing a total of 9 days. I have these, well, this ended up on the wrong page. See down at the bottom where it says print a copy of this page from ThinkWave? I don't know how that ended up at the bottom of page 110. That was supposed to be at the top of page 111. So this is the form that you print from ThinkWave, okay? Each day, your editor will listen to the oral report you give from your keyword outline and check off that you did it and check off that you did your poetry practice and that you did your reading aloud, because when the week is over, when the writing assignment period is over, you will scan this page and your keyword outlines into a PDF and you will post it on ThinkWave. That's how we do our homework in this class, okay? And I was going to ask everybody what books they were going to be doing for their read alouds. So yeah, y'all decided to do the Scarlet Pimpernel after all?
I'm doing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Super. And what is that, Aiden?
Number of the Stars.
Oh, okay. I read that a long time ago. That's really a good book. I need to put that on my,
I actually just read that.
really? That's good.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
Does everybody have a book picked out for their first read aloud? Okay. So at each day, you're going to read the handbook pages. You're going to write a keyword outline. You're going to give an oral report, and you're going to practice your poetry and have at least 15 minutes of read aloud. Okay. Read aloud time with your editor. Let me show you where the keyword outlines are. All of this is listed in the handbook, but I want to show it to you anyway. So your very first set of keyword outlines is on page 80. These are all kind of
What book?
yeah.
Page 80.
Yeah. Everything except the poems is in this handbook, okay? You're going to be doing keyword outlines about the polls, which is kind of neat because we just did the beluga thing. Okay. So each day you'll make a keyword outline, just like we just did, and then you will give an oral report to your editor using it, just like we just did. Okay. And each day you should practice your poetry, just like we talked about. And each day you should listen to your read aloud for at least 15 minutes with your editor. Some of you, I'm sure, will do much more than 15 minutes. It's reading to yourself is good, but listening to something being read by somebody else is a totally different thing for your brain, and it's very important. And it's good to listen to things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily read yourself yet. Like Hannah, I know that Scarlet Pimpernel is pretty advanced in a lot of ways. But even though you might not read it to yourself, it's something you actually can listen to being read. So
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it probably more with mommy and daddy reading it than I would have if I read it myself. Because
yeah,
I wouldn't been able to understand it. Because they do special things to help me understand it better.
exactly. And that's the advantage to reading aloud. You can listen to books that are harder than you would normally read for yourself, right? So I have to share with you my favorite quote out of that whole book, but I got to go back and find it first. Okay. All right. So this is what you're going to be doing. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Y'all have been great participating. And I'm sure as we go on and everybody kind of gets to know each other, things are going to be a lot more lively. So this was a good first start. And Asher, thank you for being brave and reciting a poem for us right from the start. That's excellent. Emma, I will have a video made and posted for this class as soon as I can get to it. I've got other classes to do today, so I won't probably get it done today, but maybe by tomorrow I'll get it done, okay? I'm glad you were able to join us.
Do we have class once a week or every day?
Every other week. So we'll have class 2 weeks from today. In the meanwhile, you'll have 9 days of homework assignment to work on, okay? With your editor, okay?
Okay.
And y'all don't forget to listen to your poems. All right. If you got a younger sibling, let them listen too. They can always go ahead and learn them. All right.
Stop it.
Okay, y'all let me know if you have any questions. I'm sure questions will come up, but soon all of this will be a habit and it won't be confusing anymore. And it'll just be old hat to you. Okay. Hi, Ruthie.
Bye.
Okay. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.